We got a June meeting of the Wichita Area Camera Club, and I welcome you all here tonight. It's good to have you out. Nice, cool, pleasant afternoon.
I wasn't there, I guess.
Wasn't here, somewhere, but not here. First item up for discussion is the minutes and the treasurer's report. Stephen Green, see if he has anything he wants to say about each one of those things.
Well, you should go back on the reports of Treasury for June. Our assets are of course $1,700, and our checking account was $2,001.68. We have a couple of expenses. We have $150 for 3 months rent at City Arts, and then a Zoom bill of $16.61 for a total of $166.11, which leaves us with $2,860.15 in the checking account.
Steve, what's the period for that Zoom? How long do you pay that? Is that a year or a month? What is
That's a month.
We agreed on the month to month.
okay?
If we pay for it at a year at a time, we save like $1.50.
So like, so we pay $16 a month. How many people do we have on?
We have 0 right now,
Like typically 1, 2.
2 to 3, and we're getting like what's 5 to 6 on the Lightroom class right now.
Yeah. Oh, so you use it for that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we're gonna pay for it, I'm gonna use it
Yeah.
for club stuff.
So we have a total worth of $6,561.84. And James just gave me his dues for 2023. So that'll be figured in next month. So
And on that subject, we need to be thinking about paying our dues for 2023. And we also need to be thinking about ways to expand our membership. So if anybody has any ideas, the officers will be happy to listen and see what you have to say. So, with that thought in mind, I will make a motion to approve the budget report.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes and the treasurer's report as written for the last 3 months.
And seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Wyatt, do you have anything you want to say about enforcing?
Well, we have the thing coming up in September. They've been getting information about that in their emails. They should think about coming. It's a good time. It's educational. It'll be the first time in 3 years that they had it. They didn't even have the one we didn't take. They fell apart on them. So get back together again.
And I'd like to mention that Pat has entered our website into the website competition for our parent club. So we owe a thank you to Pat for taking the initiative to do that.
So I have until July 1st to make any changes. So if you guys have any ideas, if it's too cluttered, if you think I should move something, or if I should add something for the N4C, just shoot me an email, let me know, give me your ideas, because I'm open to changes. I just want to, we have some time to play with it before it's judged.
And July 1st is also the deadline for a video essay contest. Do you have anything you want to say about that?
That's
I printed it.
the video contest is those videos are pretty interesting sometimes. I was afraid somebody would have time to do it.
Well, that happened last year. So The video essay contest is 3 to 4, I think maximum 5 to 6 minutes. There has to be music incorporated into it. It's supposed to tell a story. It can be both still photos and video incorporated in it, but it's when you're done with it, it's a video that they play and watch.
So the music has to be licensed or your own or in public domain.
Yeah, you can't just do what the kids do and go to the radio and pull the music down and
Yeah,
play
you
it.
can't just rip something off an album.
Yeah, you've either got to have all the copyright rights to it, or it's got to be your music, or it's got to be on public domain like SoundCloud or YouTube audio library. So there is information on the N4C website if you want to do this. I wanted to do it last year, didn't have enough time, totally forgot about it this year, and it's just been too busy. So
Martin wanted to do it.
Martin absolutely ought to do it. It's never too late, Marty.
And as noted, ICT Open Streets is coming up.
Oh yeah, for membership. So I know Dan Barrows is hoping to get back into this and get more active. He retired from the military, so he's not flying around the world as a navigator in the KC-135s. But for the membership, like we got to figure out somehow to grow this group. You know, having the PayPal and the stuff online has helped a little bit. Posting it on Facebook, doing some different groups. The photo walks are really where people start to get to know us, and we've only done a couple of those, mostly because I'm running all over the place. So I encourage other people to set up a photo walk. And if you want me to send an email about it, you know, let me know. If you want me to put something on Facebook about it, let me know. You can put it on Facebook if you have Facebook. But the more we get involved with other photographers in the community, the better chance we have of growing the club. And that's what we need to do. That's what we want to do, because we want more people to learn from and more people to be involved. And that's where you start learning. I mean, I've learned so much doing photography just in this club. You know, that's kind of where everything took off for me. So we got to do that. Open Streets ICT is September 18th. If you have never been to Open Streets ICT, I know they didn't have it very long. It was only 1 or 2 years they had it before COVID shut everything down. So they didn't have it last year either, but it will happen this year. They shut Douglas down from Delano all the way up to, it's further than Hillside. It goes up the hill. It goes up by Ziggy's. So no cars on Douglas. The cops block all the intersections. People walk and bike, and you can set up booths. I don't think it costs anything to put a table out, but we could put a table out if anybody's interested, and we could man the table. We could have some cameras. We could take pictures of people. They could come by, and we could even do a little like photo booth thing where we just have props and they dress up and get their picture taken, and we have a sign that says Wichita ICT Open Streets, and we hand out some business cards or something and tell them to join the club.
Well, I can bring my truck and we'd have electricity.
You're always thinking.
Yeah.
So it's an idea.
Sell photos? Yeah.
We could sell photos. It's gonna be hot as balls out there.
If
And
I bring my truck, I can at least sit it.
there's no shade usually where you end up, and you're on the asphalt on the street. Everybody puts their tables out on the streets. So just an idea. We have a little bit of time to think about it. I'll look into, you know, how much advance notice or how we get a spot, if we need to pay for it. If we need to pay for it, maybe we come up with something else. Maybe we just walk around instead of sitting at the table. But we should try to go to that as a club and try to promote our club and get people to join.
We still have the sign from when we were in the parade in Delano.
If we do, it's at my house in that pile of stuff, but all the information on everything we have is wrong.
Yeah, probably so.
Okay. We have a couple of exhibitions coming up. The first one that I'll mention is Presbyterian Manor. The setup for that is August 1st from 1 to 3 p.m. That falls on a Monday. The teardown is August 29th from 1 to 3 p.m. and that's also on Monday. There is a reception that is scheduled, but the date is to be determined. Hasn't been
Is that
decided.
right? We don't have a reception? We can't have a reception? Okay. Okay, no reception.
No reception, excuse me. Even though. Phone number.
Yep.
Okay. Says here we're allowed 2 images per participant.
Read the rest of the information there.
Yeah.
We invited Derby.
In Derby, yes, says we have invited Derby to join us. They were told up to 2 images per person. Now, I ended up 30 pieces.
Okay.
Right.
We weren't sure with the current membership if we could fill Presbyterian with enough images. And we got to share the Derby library reached out to me and asked if we had anybody that wanted to put pictures at the Derby library in conjunction with the Derby Club putting their stuff up. So we had photos going to the Derby library, and Dennis and several of our other members go to the Derby Club. So he and I talked on the phone and just made an executive decision to invite them to put some pictures in, but we limited them to a specific amount so that we have enough for our members that want to be in it.
Says here, photographs must be framed, but they're not required to hang. Is that accurate? Yes.
Yes. No, I'll email it out.
And a footnote, you may want to be aware of the fact that you'll have to have your name on the photo, on the front of the photo, your name, a title for the photo, and a price tag.
All on a card. I'll send all this out in an email. This is just for announcement purposes.
Then we have a exhibition coming up at Botanica, set up as October 1st. You must have wire to hang your photos and frames. They don't supply the wire, so you'll have to bring your own. Pliers will be needed. It says they have a ladder. We don't know how many photos they can handle.
Well, we need to go look at it and see, because it depends on how you hang them.
Okay.
Because they all hang from a rail at the top, and we have to have wires to bring them down.
I would say
30 to 40.
Dennis will not be there, so that means all the help you can get.
Yeah, so you've got your normal frame, and a lot of the frames, folks put wire on the back to hire them, right? So your frame has to be able to be hung, but then as a club, we have to have wire to hook onto the frame, however it is on the back, and then run that wire up to the device that they have up by the ceiling to hang it.
Is that 2 pieces or one twice as long as the?
I think it's one twice as long. You want me to talk about the technical? Do you want me to talk about the technical?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the technical stuff, new photo challenge is motion word. Gallery is up, the link to the gallery, if you're on a computer, you're looking at the website, there are boxes over on the left, one of them at the top is for this month's and next month's, doing 2 months at a time, photo challenge. There's also a link down at the bottom right. If you look at it on a tablet or a phone, everything's going to be right down the middle. So I'm going to try to make things tablet friendly. And I'm also leaving the 2 prior months on the web, so if you have photos that you still want to upload and you want to be able to find them easy, I'm just kind of like cycling through things. There's a YouTube link on the home screen right across the top with all the rest of the menu options. You can go to our YouTube channel. The first two Lightroom sections are right there. The Smug Mug class is there. Let's see. I also made a gallery for Riverfest. If anybody went to Riverfest, May photo shoot club outings, there's a link for that on the front page. So if you took pictures of Riverfest, you want to share with everybody, you can drop them there. Officers are now listed on the left. Did you do that?
I didn't do anything.
I
I haven't done anything there for ages.
And then calendar events.
I don't even remember how. I don't think.
The calendar is up on the top too. If you haven't looked at it, please do. The Zoom meetings, I'm putting all of the Zoom information in the calendar event. So if you open the calendar and click on tonight's meeting, when it opens, you see all the Zoom stuff. I'm doing the same thing for the Lightroom. Anything else that we do where there's information, I put descriptions in the calendar event. So I'm adding stuff. If you have an event coming up that you think people would like to photograph, email it to me. I'll put it on the calendar. Appreciate it. And that moves us into programs.
Would you like to introduce your speaker?
No, not yet. I'm going to see if there are any class. Next month's program is Greg Perez, and he's going to be doing a program on VR, virtual reality, and headsets. Are you bringing a couple?
Yeah, I have two.
You want me to bring my Oculus 2?
Yes.
His Oculus 2?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll have at least 3 VR headsets here.
I'm gonna get some Google Cardboard.
All right.
Check the size of your phone first, look at that. Phone has to fit.
Oh, yeah, the Google Cardboard with specific phone type sizes. Let's see. August, we're doing a photo critique. We'll have a prize for the member favorite. That seems to be going over pretty well.
What's the photo?
It's like we did last month. Put photos in, and then talk about them. Everybody picks their favorite. We get one.
What's the category?
I'm not sure yet. Motorcycles. All right, and the Lightroom session 3 is scheduled for next week on Tuesday from 7 to 8. And we will just continue right down the side. We're in the develop module. We went through the 4 basic tools that are right at the top, and we started to get into the sliders, and we hit the 8 o'clock mark, and I'm trying to keep them to an hour, so I'm not rambling on. So we're just going to start where we stop. If you missed last session and you want to see it before you come to the next session, just go to the YouTube channel. All right. And now we are on the program for tonight. Max, my husband, is also a camera club member, and he is going to be going over photo storage and backups. He's got a program prepared for us. We need to do unfinished business. And then,
Is there any unfinished business from a previous meeting that we need to know about? All that? Hearing none, we will proceed. The announcements for tonight. Does anybody have any announcements?
I don't.
Yes, James.
The main question started with having the graphics competition, the graphics exhibition. I have entered into the exhibition. If my name has been selected, I'll let you know.
Okay.
It's going to be in September of this year, running from 2nd, which is on first Friday of the reception, so it's 9, all the way to the 30th.
Thank you, James. Anything else?
About the selection for the date of the selection announcement is to be determined.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
New business includes
The program.
the program for tonight. Max is going to share his knowledge on his approach to backup. And
Yeah, we're
I'm
gonna
sure
take a break. Do we need a break?
one take break.
No?
Well, we can go to meeting in 20 minutes.
Plow through. Okay.
You're up and back.
All right. How do I do this? Right here.
There you go.
And I need to share the Zoom thing. Oh, it's full screen on both screens. I'm gonna share the screen real quick. Yeah.
So while she's getting this set up, I heard there's somebody here, a couple of group people who are interested in learning about data backups. Anyone here in particular who's concerned about that, Patricia? Is it someone-
David Carter's in the back.
Okay, hold on a minute, okay. Oh, sorry, I'll try to speak up then. So I'm gonna try to go over the basics of doing data backups and some of the concepts. If you want to get really serious about it, this is a whole professional career you can do. You're not going to learn everything about it in this little presentation. I'm mostly trying to introduce you to simple concepts so you know where to look to find the information yourself. Because this is the other thing that I can't figure out is what you need to back up and why you want to back it up, and how many resources and how much commitment you're willing to put towards that process.
Guess not.
And move to the next slide. Okay, so the first question is, if you want to figure out what you want to back up, first question is, what would happen if you lost everything? So back in 99, was it?
Yep.
99, my wife went through when I wasn't there, the experience of being in a tornado, lost everything in the house, like everything, not everything, but most of everything. She didn't have, you got a wall and anything. Imagine you as a photographer, all your stuff went away. You're in one location. How would you get it back? How would you feel, right? What items would you really want back? I have a lot of things in my house that I don't want to lose necessarily, but it's not the end of the world if you lose them. There's some things I really care about the same, should be the same for your photos. There's some photos you have that you care about, and some that are like, I don't care about. Probably a lot. I have a lot on my phone that just I have a picture of the whiteboard, the grocery shopping list, and I don't really care if I ever see that again. So all of you should, if you're thinking about data backups, think about losing everything. So once you have some idea of what a loss of your data might mean, so here's the basic principles. 1 is none, and 2 is 1. So that means if you have just one copy of all your photos, you have no backups. One copy of your photos means no backups, right? You just got the 1, right? 2 is 1. You have 2 copies, that means you have 1 backup, right? So if you only have something copied in one location, you don't have a backup. You do not have to store it somewhere else, you are not backing up. Ideally, you should, and this is ideal, this is a high ideal, okay? You should have at least 3 backups, okay? The first one is an online backup. It should be in a cloud storage device, somewhere in the cloud, on the internet, okay? You want an off-site backup. Cloud backup counts as that. Off-site means somewhere separate from wherever you normally do your work. Not at your local desktop computer, not in your office, not in your home, off-site, okay? If you're not going to do a cloud backup, an off-site backup is good. One thing you can do for an off-site backup is just take a hard drive with all of your data on it and give it to a friend. If they're far away, you can put it in a box and mail it to them. You can put it in 2 boxes, 1 box with your name and address on it and postage because you're that person, and the other one, the box that you actually ship to them, they open it and you say, hey, brother, mom, son, whoever, wife, I'm going to you care about him, so there's none here. Well, there's one, but other, that's not possible. hold this for me, and if something terrible happens, send it back. And in a year, I'll send you another one, I'll pick up this one, something simple like that. And one should be in your personal control. If you take all your backups and you put them on the cloud on the internet, and you have them somewhere separate, and you want one that you touch and control and can take out of the box and you have access to. You have the password, no one else is help or assistance, you can pull back. That's in case something weird happens, things are outside your control, right? These things cost money, they're hard. And I don't have this, and most people don't have this. This is what I do in the Air Force. I forgot to mention, so my IT experience, I have 18 years experience in IT, almost all in the Air Force doing IT. All the doing in the Air Force, we do backups all the time, but we do it in a corporate environment. We get information about doing backups, it's almost always going to be specified for people with money, corporations and businesses. So they'll have a lot of advice like this, you should have at least 3. And the Air Force does that, but they also have millions of dollars. So if you find advice on backups that doesn't seem practical to you, that might be cool. Before you can start backing up, you need to develop a backup process. Do not go out and just buy hard drives, sign up for things. You need to develop your process first. Slide. Try to go fast. Tell me if I'm going to.
You're absolutely fine.
Okay. So I'm an IT guy, and most people might think of backups as an IT problem. It's the hard drive I'm going to use where I'm going to store my file bits and stuff. But backing up data is a process. Before you can determine what technologies you need to figure out what you want to do, what your process is. Okay, and that's going to involve a lot of things like deciding what to back up, how often to back it up, how much money you're willing to spend to accomplish this task. Because all of these will, if you give me a budget of $0, we can do backups. There's ways you can do it. Like I'm going to back up all my stuff onto my phone. I already own my phone, right? I'm going to give it to my friend, and my wife, put on my wife's computer. That's a backup. But if you tell me you have a budget, I'm going to spend $1,000 a month, we can go a lot more. So, go to the next slide. So, this is my process for backups. I want to talk about 2 different ways, 2 different processes that none of you use. I'm specifically picked out ones that I'm pretty sure none of you are using, just to get your minds opened up, and just like see the possibilities. So, this first one is my iPhone. Maybe got the right color. I'll just got a case on. I will take out my phone, I take a picture, and it's like, oh, that's a neat picture. I stick my phone back in my pocket. I just get that. Okay. I pay Apple money, $3 a month for iCloud access. Okay. And through the magic of Apple, having spent thousands of dollars on Apple equipment already, my photos just get saved to the internet without me thinking. I can go on my iCloud backup. I have a MacBook. My wife has one too. They just automatically show up on there. With this method, I functionally get at least 2 physical backups that are in my control. One that's on the phone, and one, this is not my computer, it's my wife's computer, but pretend it's my computer. One that's on my computer, okay? And finally, I have the iCloud backup, which has it online. So even if I lose all my devices, I'm good to go. There's some problems with this, there's limitations. iCloud gets kind of expensive. It really only works well with an iPhone. So if I want to get the DSLR, this would work. If I wanted to take 10,000 pictures over a weekend, I would build my data very quickly, right? But for what I do, I'm just like, oh, you're pretty. She is pretty, my wife. This is a good method.
Not a girl.
But yeah, no, you're a woman. So, sir.
So you're saying that, okay, because I'm off.
Yep.
Yeah, like you're good. But I am back as well.
Mhm.
Okay, and I've got another process, I'm looking for the flash process. From my iMac, if I were to bring over from my Ash to my iMac to the iCloud, that would be sense. That would not work.
That could work for you if you want to use that. The problem is iCloud gets kind of expensive,
Yeah.
and it gets weird and persnickety if you don't do it the Apple way. I'm taking pictures with my iPhone, so it goes into the Photos app. And as long as photos are going to the Photo app, they'll automatically go to iCloud. If I start taking them per camera, I can go on my Mac, import the SD card, copy them into Photos, go back to iCloud, or I can try manually copying them into iCloud, but then I lose all the advantage of Mac where like right now, if I keep this off my phone, it leaves off iCloud on my computer too. And that starts getting painful. So there's better solutions. If you're not using your iPhone, that's what iCloud's developed for. Better solutions. So, go to the next slide. Again.
Hang on.
So my grandma, she passed away. This is a picture from her funeral. So she was born in the early 1930s, hated computers, but she had a photo backup process too. Okay, her backup process is, I don't know if this is her camera, this is a random picture camera I found. She took pictures with her camera, got them developed, and put them in a photo album. She then took the negatives, put them in the back of the photo album, and stuck them, filled the photo album, stuck them in the basement, right? That was her process. She obviously had no cloud backups, right? She did not have any off-site backups. She kind of technically had two because she had the negatives and the pictures she printed out, right? She definitely had direct control. This system worked enough for my mom to find a big box of photo albums of like 15 photo albums after she passed and backed them all and stored them. So this system worked well enough, right? But this is a process. She went through photographs and she, with the technology available to her, she did a backup. Okay, she didn't, you know, it wouldn't work with your photo processor. She's taking 10,000 photos a weekend. That would get really expensive and be a lot of photo albums. But that is a process too. Just because it doesn't sound like a backup or sound like IT, sound technical, it's still a process. If your whole process is I take pictures and erase my SD card, it's technically a process. You have no backups, you have no nothing, you're just taking pictures. But there's a process. So whatever you're doing, you do have a process right now. It might just not be a good one for you. I'll decide. Next slide. Okay, data for the next slide. I don't know too much about where the technical level of people is in here.
Breathe.
Okay, technical level of people is in here. But all data is contained in ones in computers is stored in ones and zeros, it's stored on hard drives. Someone had a question about data degradation in here? Say, you?
Steve.
Steve? You had a question about data degradation?
No, I just figured we should cover it.
Oh, okay. So this is a picture from the internet that got compressed a little bit. And basically, the total size of this picture is 326,272 bits. That's 326,726 ones and zeros. Okay? That's what the picture size is. So in other words, 326K. This is the original photo. Someone else, not me, went in and changed one of those ones and zeros to a 1 or a 0. The other, right? This is what that photo looks like. Okay? They then went in and they changed 2 bits. And this is what the photo looks like. This is 3 bits. Go wrong. You use 3 bits, more than 300,000, and your photo becomes garbage. Okay? And I'll tell you that in the real world, it really depends on which of those 3 bits you get. There's a lot of junk data in the beginning and text pictures that don't do anything. Who here has experienced pictures grading like this? Anyone? You have these pictures grading like this? Sure, yeah. Okay. I've done this. I have thousands, you have tens of thousands of pictures, and I have. And this doesn't just go for photographs either. This goes for Word documents and anything else on the computer. If you lose even 1 or 2 ones or zeros, documents get destroyed, data gets lost. The fact you don't have thousands of pictures that are just rotting away like this, and just you open them up, I took this picture, but now it's like garbage. Nothing, I didn't do anything. Those bits of data are being preserved. My main point here is that data does not change. On a digital format, you copy it 10,000 times, 1,000,000 times, and it's not abstract. This happens all the time on the internet. Think about a YouTube video, how many times that's being copied down to people's machines for a popular like 1 million view video with each frame being bigger than this doesn't happen very often. So for digital data, it's not going to get corrupted like this. If it does, the whole file will be corrupted, everything or nothing. So in answer to the question of does digital data degrade? No, it doesn't. Physical files do. All physical media breaks. We'll get to some. Digital data does actually degrade, but not in the way that a printed photograph.
Well, in my case, I was storing on cheapy USB drives, the kind they give you at trade shows that are from God knows where. And fortunately, I had backups. So I kept having to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, I said, you know what? Problem is these drives are junk. I gave up using them, no problems.
Yep. There is bad media. All media will get errors, but almost always it's going to show up as a completely unrecognizable file. And we'll get to this in a couple more slides. That's the slide. All of your hard disks have lots of moving parts. So, and as the hard drive has gotten bigger, we're more likely to lose data. But there's this amazing thing called error correction, where data is generated, it gets copied with a file, and it generates a problem. This is all done for math. We add up all the bits that they're operating, you get a 1 or 0 at the end, and you either keep it or save it. And it says it as a problem. It just throws it out and asks for it again if it's a network connection. Or if it's a physical device, there's ways to call journal filing systems that I don't expect any of you could ever care about. That you can recover. Okay. So data does go bad. It tends to go bad all at once. There's one big thing. And it'd be very obvious that it would show up as files corrupted. So if there's a question of is this falling apart in small ways? Is this grading in the background? You know, like a physical photo, you might look very good until you pick it up and it rips in half and it became all very fragile. You know, ancient documents that find a library shelf for thousands of years until you pick them up and they fall apart. This data doesn't do that. Data like, oh no, I crashed and fell apart the second you touch it.
Yeah, a little pile of bits, right?
Yeah, it's catastrophic. And you'll see like my whole hard drive is created. We've had this. And all of a sudden, half the files on my system will read. Okay? Now, there is one way that data can corrupt. I think that's my next one. Okay. There is one way. There's something called bit rot. So this is not a physical phenomenon. This is how some people in IT have noticed that data does seem to go back. It does seem to rot. It's everything I just said. I know that. But I'm going to give you an example. My dad wrote his PhD thesis back in the late 80s. He spent a decade of his life doing it on vetiver grass, anyone cares. Hundreds of pages long, saved on 5¼ inch floppy disks, along with all the really boring data about how fast water flows, all on 5¼ inch floppy disks. Okay. If my dad was very desperate and wanted to get that data back, he'd have a really hard time doing it because there are 5¼ inch floppy drives. He found himself getting a 5¼ inch floppy drive. If the disks were together, he'd probably have a hard time finding the exact version of WordPerfect that ever used to open the software. And if he did find that version of WordPerfect with a 5¼ inch floppy drive and the disk still worked, he'd probably have a hard time running it on Windows 11 or whatever he's running his desktop machine. Software, if you go out and download Photoshop 3, one of the oldies, you're not going to be able to run it on modern. You'll find something, make it run probably, but you're going to have problems. The same thing goes for disks. Take a bunch of photos or information, especially a Lightroom catalog, save it perfectly for 50 years. 50 years from now, whatever Lightroom is turned into, you'll probably have a hard time recording, right? In that 50 years. And so even if you don't want to do it, you want to hand it down to your kids, you'll find that stuff tends to go bad. That's called bit rot. Old software worked fine. You update new software comes out. New versions of things come along, this doesn't work. Does that make sense to everyone? We can't import our own backups from 1987 when we were doing Photoshop Mika. So, next slide. So, another basic concept of backup versus an archive. So, when we're talking about backing up data, a backup is being able to restore your work, whatever it is you're working on, if there's a catastrophic event. Okay? So, my wife has these little NVMe SSDs she plugs into her computer for extra storage. We just give her a terabyte of hard drive space. She's got this laptop with like a catalog. If she's restoring her backup, she's going to be able to get that. Ideally, she can get that to exactly where she is. So she can log in and start editing the last picture she was on without having lost anything. An archive is once she's done with all those photos, she's edited them all she wants to. She puts them in a file to save for like one day. Functionally, what my grandmother was doing with photo albums is more of an archive rather than a backup. She wasn't backing up any, she wasn't working on anything, she just wanted copies. Archives don't open, archives are static. Backups change every day. And backups are ideally how often you're going to change something, one of those changes back up. That's a backup. So that's the difference. Long-term storage of things that don't change versus a living copy of what you have now. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. One person's listening. So, all right. I'm not going to get too much into this. Types of backups. We're rolling here into the territory of weird IT nerd stuff, so I apologize. Anyone here who doesn't want to hear that. All right. So there's different types of backups. An unstructured backup means it's just unstructured. You took all your photographs, like JPEG and RAW files, and you copied them and just stuck them on an external hard drive or burned them to a disk. That's an unstructured backup. You didn't organize them, you didn't put them together in a way. You just threw everything on there. And if you wanted to restore from that backup, you'd have to spend a lot of time organizing what you didn't organize to begin with, right? This is the most simple way, and I say it's bad. This is probably the backup you want structured backup. Unless you want to spend a lot of money, this is probably the one you want to use. Full opening or system imaging, you're backing up everything on your computer as a whole, whether or not you need it. So if she backed up every single thing on this computer, for example, using Time Machine, and including video games and email clients and stuff like that, that's a full backup. That restores your computer the way it was. This is the nicest one is to have one because everything just comes back exactly where it was. It also uses the most space to store because you're backing up everything. Okay. And finally, there's incremental and differential backups, which is where you take a full backup, and then instead of making a second full backup and a third full backup, so like if you backed up every day with full backup, she has a 1 terabyte drive, by the end of the week, she has 7 terabytes backed up. That's a lot of storage. Incremental differential, you just back up the changes. So whatever changed since that one backup, until you find it for a full backup. Would you like to address that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's how Lightroom backs up, is incrementals.
You do incremental backups. The big thing about incremental backups is you'll increase. Again, unless you're doing like, I'm a professional, I don't want to have 1 day downtime on my photo work. That's costly money. You can allocate a price to how much your backups are worth. Probably just want to comment on. Yeah. More money you have, the better you do. All sorts of fancy stuff like this. But it also takes work and hard to actually implement. For instance, when as long as you treat the data, you'll get it back eventually. So, yeah, unstructured backups. This one can be complicated. It can just be a big stack of DVDs or Blu-rays, because those are bigger ones now, or hard drives. Again, you're just copying stuff onto the drive. You're not really organizing it any more than you have it organized to begin with. Just copying what you have.
Like my old Berkeley box.
Yes, yes. I'm not sure what that is. So full backup systems, like I talked about. Yeah, this. If you have a whole bunch of configurations, like very precisely done on your machine, made a lot of tweaks to the file system, like Photoshop, and you don't think you could like flip them back and make them the same way again. That's about the only time I advise you doing this. A lot of space, and then I let the operating system do it. It's back on that. Then we'll go to the ad and skip this up top, about it, which changed the stuff. Okay, so we'll go through these. These just different types of media you can back it up on. For most of you, you're probably going to want a spinning hard disk as a backup. Take backups are used in data centers. It'll store the most. They're awful to work with, and they take like days to restore. But you want to have like terabytes of data at the cheapest price possible, and then ship them on the off-site, have them restorable. Your terabytes with backups, H the way you'll have to go. Spinning hard disk, very similar to it's non-spinning hard disk. There's nothing moving in these type of hard disks. Cheaper per gigabyte, right? That's probably the cheapest way to do it. If you don't have that much to back up, you don't spend a lot of money. Just getting this, DVD discs are very cheap. They're less than 10 cents each, I think. You can back up to them. There's also long-lasting ones, and of course, the best one is cloud storage. Slide. So, all of these types of media have a life. You'll notice magnetic tapes 10 years, but everything else needs to sit around somewhere 5 to 10 at most. And discs are a special type of DVD. There are archival DVDs. They're hardly expensive to buy. Those supposed to last 6,000 years. Conversely, some you can buy them on Amazon. If you're there. Online storage on the cloud is forever because Amazon and Google your backup is replacing the hard drive and keeping their own backups in your backups. They make that. This is the best one. You have a lot of stuff for most normal human beings, but downsides cost money.
Smug mug.
The Smug is a great example. Copy online. They do all the data backups. The hard drive goes back and data center.
And you have unlimited storage on Smug Mug through the club,
You do.
except for raw.
Outside of Smug, better options.
Well, we've got some more slides. So, yes, all of them have a limited life. Now, someone here was, when you were introduced to RAID, again, technical IT nerd stuff, where redundant array of inexpensive disks, random array of inexpensive disks. This is a problem that guys back in the 80s ran into. We had a whole bunch of hard drives. We want to make like one big hard drive because the price per gig of data usually is not the biggest disk. So let's say you had, I bought 10 1 terabyte hard drives. I wanted to make it look like one big 10 terabyte drive all by itself. And split files up and copy the different drive. And you have an E drive, F drive. So it's all one big thing. That's what RAID does. So if you get RAID, if you want RAID, this is the function. Sir.
I said level 3 when I said that's
Yes.
I apologize. I was looking at a level 1.
Yes.
I.e., what I was looking at was I'm interested in taking 3 hard drives, external hard drives, putting them into a hub, connecting the hub to my laptop so that I can save my Photoshop organizer and my portfolio. Check my photos.
So, do I talk more about the RAID levels here?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go to that. So, RAID comes in different types. RAID 1 is the simplest. You have 2 hard drives, both have the same stuff on them. One breaks, it just uses the other one. Okay? Everything you see is A1 gets copied to both, A2 is copied to both, A3 is copied to both, A4 is copied to both. You just have 2 drives that have the same thing written on them, the computer doesn't. It only looks like one drive, but they both have the same stuff. So if one breaks or dies, you're supposed to take it out, replace it, and put it back in. Slide.
Sorry. I know.
RAID 5. And you notice I skipped over the 2, 3, 4. There's also a RAID 0 and a RAID 6. I didn't want to get too weird and technical. The only things I've ever seen in my life are RAID 0, 1, and 5.
I've got 6 fives.
5, yeah.
6 fives.
Oh, 6, 5?
6 5 drives.
Okay, 6, 5. Yeah. So, RAID 5 is striping. Basically, you lose one of these drives, And if you replace it, it will rebuild it, and you get everything back up on here. The problem with grade one, in case you think about it, if you buy two 1 terabyte drives, you don't have 2 terabytes, you have 1 terabyte duplicates, right? So you pay twice as much for your storage. That's the downside of RAID. RAID 5, you can get, you're only losing 1 out of these. Every 3 or 4 that you put in. 1 is duplicate. So if one drive goes bad, you can replace it, and it goes through there. You don't need to know anything technically. You're going to buy a box like this on the first line. It's a little box you can buy on Amazon, say RAID array, and you buy hard drives. I don't know how them usually what they do, they'll pay for them. You stick them in there. When you turn it on, it'll say like, what RAID do you want? It's a program. You pick the number, and it just does it. It plugs in back to your computer through the USB or network connection. So,
What program was that you just talked about?
it wasn't a program. It was going to go back to slides.
No, he's talking about what program opens up.
You would give you, I didn't hear you.
Oh, it will be manufacturer specific.
Okay.
So,
Proprietary.
yes, so if you buy a Synology NAS, it will be a program from Synology. And the more money you pay, the more complicated this program gets. Now, throw in here technically, you don't need to buy a special machine to do this. You can't do this with just your computer. You got a desktop, and you can stick extra drives in there. But for hardware RAID implementation for your motherboard, or you can do it for software RAID implementation with the operating system. I've done both of these. Both of them failed. I need to get my information back. Hardware one, motherboard, if your motherboard dies, unless you can buy that exact same motherboard, you will not be able to restore any data on the drives. Once you put something in a RAID array, like I can store this right out of RAID 5. If I lose my computer or whatever thing is hosting these files, I just lost all 4 drives. Right? So this is the downside. We had a Synology cheap one. It had 2 drives in it. It was a great one. It showed the simplest thing in the world. The physical box died, and I went to take information off of it, but Synology was saving me some proprietary Synology format. We couldn't copy stuff on it. If I wanted to rebuild it and get my data back, I had to buy another hard drive the exact same size, tell it to rebuild it, it doesn't do it by itself, and then get it back. So the big thing you're going to want to do, the only reason anyone tolerates this BS and deals with this deeply annoying process, and it is very annoying. Every time you're spoken back, it's annoying. Is this is about the only practical way you're going to start setting, you're going to back up, 5, 10, 20 terabytes of data. Because even if you can find it, like we have those 8 terabyte drives or single drives, I get to the point where you want to put that much data on one drive that it fails, you lose it. Right? The bigger that drive is, the more you lose when it fails.
It's just like your camera's got a place for an SD card, and everybody says the 128 gig is really cheap now. I'm like, yeah, but if I use 2 64s and one goes bad and I've got photos on the other one, I didn't lose everything. Whereas if I'm just using a gigantic 128 and the whole thing goes corrupt, I've lost every photo I took.
Yep. So and that's the problem with these big storage setups and systems and any sort of physical media nowadays, is that you can buy tremendous amounts of, what was it, $150 straight terabytes for spinning one, that USB 3. My computer has like 12 USB 3 ports in the back. That means I had 12 times 8 terabytes of storage. Sure, that's a lot. Actually, started counting that stuff. I better not really want to keep it that much. If any one of those drives goes, I'm losing 8 terabytes of stuff. Imagine using 8 terabytes of pictures with no backups. That's why this RAID array exists. But if you're going to do it, I would strongly advise buying a dedicated box from Amazon. That's how you're
Best Buy, someplace.
So,
Sir, is that a box that they maintain in Amazon, or is it a box?
no, so that's the picture.
You can buy the Synologies and the NAS over at Best Buy. You can buy them.
This.
Yeah.
This is just a random picture I found on the internet. This is not a specific one. It's a box.
Right.
Go to Amazon, search for Sand RAID, you can get the recommendations. Each one of these is a hard drive. It's got a little display port on here. This one, I can tell it has an IP address, connects to a network. You could probably also plug it in for a USB cable to a computer, and you save stuff on it, right? It handles all that RAID stuff. It just tells you which ones do you want. And if you pick along the way, like if you have 3 hard drives and try to put them in RAID 1, which you can't do, it has to be an even number of drives because you need duplicates of each one. They all also have to be the exact same size. You can't mix 100 with a 50. It has to be 100, 100, 100, 100. And if you get a bigger, if you want to upgrade it, you've got to upgrade all of them. This is the cheapest way, or the best way. This is like, this actually generally works. And that's what it's designed for. So they have lots of other features. Unless you're technically inclined and want to play with the operating system stuff and do the research, I would try implementing it yourself with the operating system. But yeah, Magic Box you buy from Amazon and plug in, you can save those. Right?
One of the other benefits that right now, like B&H Photo and Adorama are pushing on their sites, and a lot of the other photo sites that I've been seeing, is that you see the IP address on this box. So you can access what they're saying is you can access these photos even if you're not at your computer. You can access them from your tablet, from your phone, from somebody else's computer, because they are being pulled off of those drives and put up through the internet to get to wherever you're at. And that's one of the big things that they're trying to sell them with right now.
But I would still also only recommend this as a backup, not as your live, not doing live file with it, which is off of, because just realize it's probably pretty slow compared to everything you have in your computer. So again, this is just a place to copy and unlock if you want to do something. So right, 1, 2, 5, yeah. Sam versus Mass. Google one of those boxes on Amazon. If you want to buy one, you probably want to Google the phrase Sam versus Mass. They're used interchangeably, they're not the same thing. So SAN technically means storage attached network. This is something that is less short in IT you will never run into. It's a giant rack. We have it in the Air Force. It's a rack of a whole bunch of hard drives in this big box, and there's fiber optic cable, and there's hundreds of blinking lights on it. You're not supposed to touch it. And my server just sends stuff through there. It has lots of storage, but it won't tell you how much. This is like data enterprise level things. It's like technically a whole network that's storage area network. It's just a network of, it's part of your network where you can store stuff, right? But people still buy SAN. They sell SANs on Amazon. Like that, you got the box, right? What you're really buying though is a NAS. So there's storage attached network. Once you have to look at NAS, it's like there's network attached storage. You'll notice the names are kind of interchangeable. They sound almost the exact same, and they're treated the same. This just means you've got one of those boxes that I was showing you with hard drives in it. You plug it into your router or modem at home, and then any computer that fits that modem or router can save files inside the local network. So with a laptop and desktop, they can both write to the NAS. And the NAS is just a magic box with storage on it that costs money and you save stuff. So, sir,
What kind of storage does Adobe and Photoshop and that you save stuff in your computer or you save stuff in Creative Cloud or both?
so
What is that all about?
Creative Cloud is cloud storage,
Right?
which is really just someone else's server. There's a giant warehouse somewhere where electricity is cheap, and they just have actually a bunch of great hard drives, and they just save them on there for you. You don't get to see that, right?
Right.
You can save files locally onto your computer. That's a file that you use Windows or Mac. Mac. Okay. So that's just a file. You can go into a folder, drag and drop. And if you look at the same one of these NAS's SAM things, you go connect it, and once you connect the first time, you just drag and drop pictures with the Photoshop app, your Lightroom, the Photoshop backups, or your anything you want on there, just goes like that. Creative Cloud is where when you're using Adobe, which you can tell you more about actually doing it just saves them up to the internet for you to get.
And I think Martin probably uses Creative Cloud more than I do, but I'm getting into it, but it's really all Adobe stuff.
Right.
Like you're not dragging your Word documents into Creative Cloud.
No, but again, there's only so much you get, and you gotta start paying, so I'm
Yeah.
constantly deleting stuff off my life.
Yeah, and if you delete it from Creative Cloud, it deletes it from from like if I do Photoshop stuff and I want to be able to access it later on my iPad, I will save it to my hard drive. And I also save it to the cloud. And then if I make a change on my iPad or my phone, then when I go back to my computer, I don't open the one that's on my hard drive. I open the one that says it's in my cloud because that's where my changes are. And that way I still have the one I started with, but now I have the changes too, and I can go in and access it all. Yep.
So now we're getting to the last section.
Where's my mouse? There it is.
What is block level storage? That's not too technical.
When you write files, it is very technical, but it's when you write to a hard drive, terabyte, you have, it's really into ones and zeros. The computer has to know what's in each one of those ones and zeros. And so there's called a file allocation table, which is basically like a hard catalog, which basically says like this block of data, this is a Word document, this one's a picture, this one's another picture, here's the name, here's the size, all that stuff, right? If you wanted to list every single bit of data, the file allocation table would be as large as your data, and you lose half of all your storage. So instead, what they do is they break it up into blocks, which I think by default in like Windows now are like meg or 2 meg for the big terabyte drives. And that's the smallest amount of space you can do. So if you write a tiny 1K, less than a 1K text file, just hello, period, say that, it'll still take up 2 megabytes worth of storage because you just have so much. So yeah, that's what they're talking about, block level storage, smallest block you can write to. So again, in its final level as opposed to block level, again, it's technical stuff, it doesn't matter to most people. I don't care about it for my job.
All right, well, don't tell me about it then, it doesn't matter.
Okay. I copied stuff from Wikipedia. So local backup software, we're not going to go through this one quickly. If you don't want to use just to copy things to a hard drive method, you want software to do it for you, back this up and do it automatically. There's software you can buy. Slide. First one, in Windows 10, and this is also Windows 11, this is also Mac OS, and I'll put this up here so you guys can copy it. Windows will do backups of your files. Okay, you've got to plug in an external hard drive and run Windows backup, and in theory, it can find files back from you again. So this is built into Windows. If you want to get the details of that, I didn't really want to know exactly how to do it. Microsoft has pretty step-by-step guides, but it's built into Windows. It's free. It only does file level restores. It only restore your power operating system. So it's more like, oops, I accidentally deleted this, or I want this file from like a week ago. It'll pull it back for you. You need as much storage as whatever drive you're backing up is. So 1 terabyte drive, Microsoft backing up that second 1 terabyte drive into the backups on. And you have to be connected all the time. It's not great for laptops, right? Which does too hard as well. Fine. Windows 11 is also Windows. It is incredibly similar, but the buttons move around, so it gets different stuff. Next, Mac OS. Because Mac is different, they have to call theirs something different. They just can't call it backup, not backup. They call it the time machine, right? Which is very similar to what Windows does. Basically, you plug in an external hard drive, the time machine, you turn it on, you go back up your stuff, and if you want to get it back, you can, like, there's an open up time machine, go back in time, like a time machine. On those files for you. It also has the ability to restore your entire disk drive, so if it's Mac, you're not restoring, I can't replace drives easily. If you, that Mac died, she went over to the car, she got a time machine back up. When she bought a new Macintosh, a greater equal value, she would plug in that time machine back and restore it. Sir.
There was a woman I heard on the news this weekend, did a wedding in Kansas City, and somebody broke into her car, stole her laptop. She lost all those pictures and photos and stuff. She had backed them up. I don't know if she backed them up sideways or something, but they're kind of compelled this individual to stole with the return, which will get back to better pictures and stuff. If you're doing that kind of stuff, that kind of level, you need to have a cloud backup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Almost immediately.
cloud backups require internet.
Yeah.
If you don't have good internet or fast internet, it's really sucks to pull down. You find out you have the cheapest, you live out in the country, you're using satellite. It's like, oh yeah, don't worry, I've got all 10 terabytes in my backups. It's my download speed.
2 years later.
Yeah, 2 years later, you'll get back down again.
Especially if you're in a small church in Nevada, or
So,
Yeah, can I just say something?
sure.
About a week ago, I went to my 50th high school reunion, and I took a lot of photographs, and as soon as I got to my hotel, I downloaded my CF card from my camera into my iPad, so that also I had 3 versions of what I took, still on the CF card, on the iPad, and on the Apple file, and I did that as soon as I got back.
And it's good to get into that habit, because I had a scare a couple of months ago. Like, my habit is I go out and do a shoot. As soon as I come home, I put my stuff down, I take my cards out of my camera, I load my pictures into my computer, I put them on my external hard drive, and then I create a second copy. Then I take my SD card or CF card out, stick it back in my camera, and then I go out to the next shoot and I format those cards. So I went and did prom pictures on the night that I had spent all day at the racetrack, and I was exhausted. And I don't remember going home and taking the card out of my camera and loading the pictures. And then Sunday, I went to the track and I shot all day, but I formatted my cards before I started, and I've got a lot of cards. And I got home and I was unloading those, and I went, I'm pretty sure I don't have those prom pictures anymore. And I went through every card I have, and I couldn't find them. So and the lady that runs the flag crew, was her kids, and I had sent her some while we were sitting in a restaurant. I pulled them off my camera and edited like one of each set. So they all got pictures, but I didn't have all of them. I was like, I'm just not gonna charge you. I'm pretty sure I formatted those cards. She's like, okay, cool.
But they also have software that you can load in the computer that can go back and retrieve photos on your card.
You can, yep, but if they've been written on again, you're not gonna get them,
I
but.
got back years back.
So the interesting thing though is developing that habit, because 4 nights later, I was here with my laptop, and I was sitting here with my external hard drive trying to figure out what I was going to do for a program. And my pictures were on my hard drive. Because even though I was exhausted and I don't remember putting those pictures on a computer, because I have that habit and I've been doing it for so long, I did it. I just don't remember. So developing a habit with your pictures is a good thing.
I had
Slide.
one of my G-Check drives would spin up on me a couple of years ago. It spin up and then drop. Spin up and I'd be able to spin up at all. And I had around pictures on there. I only had to check with Wilson Google with Maker with G-Check. Cost me $1,200 to get that image back.
Oof.
And it was cheap. That was the cheap one.
You can't get lost data back. Other backup software, these are 2 I found them were highly rated. I have used them. They're not backup recovery and runs. These are software that you install. I believe they're both. I know there's a Windows version. I think there's a Mac version for Cronus. But basically, what they're going to do is you got your computer already. You bought the external disks. These will actually copy the files for you. Make sure they're safe, and the old ones, copy over the new ones. And with Acronis, they will also offer to copy them onto the cloud for you. Right? They cost money. As we know, all software has a monthly service fee now. So you'll be paying in perpetuity. Which is my next slide. Online backups. Okay. So Adobe Backups, Creative Cloud. So best thing about cloud backups, if you don't, money is not an option. If you don't worry about money, cloud's the best way to go. You have your own day, they don't take care of all the hassle for you. You get unlimited storage, as much as you want. Problem is it costs money. Adobe Creative Cloud's a really good example. You're paying $10 a month for a terabyte. You get some free with your Photoshop you're paying for anyway. But if you want to go with the full 10 terabytes of data a month, you're gonna be paying $100 a month, which is $1,200 a year. And once you're not paying that, they don't save your data for you, so you better find somewhere else to put it. Any of these, it's great. You can Photoshop will just automatically keep it up there. You can save it forever, you can down wherever you want, right? Just keep sending that check, keep writing that check, and they'll keep doing it for you. But that's the price for that one. So that's the downside of cloud storage. OneDrive, if you're using Windows, and you want to save things on the Windows operating system, the Windows way, look at OneDrive. It is, you get 5 gigs free. The 365 is what we have, which we pay monthly. I think it's ends up like $10 a month or something. You get 1 terabyte per account. Since you have 5 accounts, you get 5 terabytes, which actually 5 Windows accounts, 5 users, which is what she's doing. Only use this one if you really like Windows. It's designed for office stuff, but you do get a terabyte fairly cheap. Okay, so and it works really well with Windows. That's the other nice thing. It's all integrated with the file system. It's great. If you like the Windows way, it's the way to go. Slide. iCloud, $10 a month for 2 terabytes of storage. You can get through if you're on a Mac. You'll save it like that. Is again, you just copy the folder on your Mac and it just uploads it, internet provided. Same caveats as always, you stop paying, you stop having access to it. So again, like Macworld, you want to pay them directly if you don't want to use a third-party provider. iCloud is a great way to go. Next, the way my wife actually suggests you all do it is the photo sharing websites. She suggests the backup of all upload your stuff. This meets the requirement for an archive. Save all your photos, send them online, and cheap and free.
Well, I think those take raw.
Okay, so SmugMug will accept raw, but you have to pay for the storage. And as a club, we are not paying for it, and I also don't pay for it as a person because I would pay a fortune for all the photos that I have. Flickr, to my knowledge,
They take GIFs though, right?
they do take GIFs, yeah.
Do they take,
They take JPEGs, GIFs, TIFFs, and PNGs. You just can't do RAWs.
and they don't do the thing.
The PSDs,
Yeah,
no, can't do a PSD either, because that's technically a raw image,
okay,
even though it's got all the changes.
right. TIFFs is a reasonable way to go with it. Isn't it? If you don't compress,
Yeah,
you don't flatten your images.
yeah.
If you don't want to spend money and you're okay with some photo degradation, store them with the photos on Facebook or on other sites. And honestly, for some people, depending on the picture you have, just throw everything on Facebook. It's a very good storage mechanism. You'll be able to find it, you can share it. But again, if you're a professional, you want to keep raw images of original size, that's not a great way to do it. But again, as you'll see, slide.
Photo Shelter is really getting popular because it was designed by photographers for photographers.
Yeah, you got free SmugMug, that's the benefits of club membership, that's an entry there. Again, so.
Is P-Base on there?
What?
No, P-Base was not on there.
Yeah, I did not pick the,
We-
there's a million ways
Yeah.
to save them on the internet. But, those are just the ones that are kind of just explicitly designed for. Sure.
A line of questions came up. Are you a chronology user?
No, I know about Synology, I've used it, so.
I've got a 1650
Mhm,
and chronology's kind of tailored pivots.
mhm.
Work with.
Yep.
And I've kind of got stuck point, so I didn't know if you had.
What are you trying to do with it? Or-
Well, okay, first of all, I couldn't get it, my Mac to talk. I got the Synology, and the first person I talked to said, run it from your Mac to the box.
Are you
I got the second person a few months later, because time has just not been in my favor. They said, no, you need to run it through your router into your box.
Have you connected to the web page that lets you remotely administer?
Yes, and the link that they gave me is a dead link.
It's gonna be a link, so it has to be connected to your network, it has to be plugged into the router.
Yeah, that's what's happened. And all that works now, okay?
Yeah.
But now I've got a problem, I can't get logged in.
There's a button on the back, a reset button, won't delete your data, you have to hold it for 15
Okay,
or 30
so
seconds.
I have nothing in there now, so I can't
hold it down for 15, 20 seconds. And that resets the default password, which at least on mine is administrator. And, but yeah, once you're on that web page, you go in there, you'll want to set up the Apple file system or something. And that'll make a URL that you recognize and connect up to the map. And once it's connected, it's just super easy with that initial setup.
Yeah, that's our script, go back and reset it, and then probably the password to it, reset everything.
Yeah, and then there's types of file systems, it's getting technical technology. But you can have SMB, which is the Windows file share, it's an FTP, it's an HTTPS, the one I was visible, it's a web link. And there's an Apple share. Once you make the files and plug in the drives, then you have to share out the drives, it creates the RAID, and then you have to share out the drives as a specific type of file system. And you can share out more than one, and there's an Apple file system that makes it this whole Mac OS. So if anyone doesn't like technology, don't use NAS's, SANs, or RAIDs, you'll be sad. So.
Because what I do is I put all of my, instead of putting, well, in the computer, put the card in the computer, but I put it over to a terabyte hard drive over here. That's what my backup hard drive will be able to crash. And so that's where all my raws are stored. My raws, and then also my finished product.
Onto the RAID, onto your Synology RAID, Synology NAS. Yeah. You want to add all of those files onto the Synology NAS. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Get it set up, and we can potentially walk through that separately. I think that's more than I can cover here in a club meeting. Okay. So.
And I was wrong. You can't upload tips without having the extra.
Okay.
So.
I didn't use Dropbox.
Dropbox, oh yeah, Dropbox is another, I didn't even think that when I was thinking of Windows System 1. Dropbox is another great service. You're going to pay about the same prices. Prices will be going down because storage always gets cheaper. But yeah, there's a million ways to store things online. Try it, get familiar with it before you dump everything on it. It's not fun to.
Yeah.
And you also have to make sure if you're going to use Dropbox or OneDrive or iCloud, you have to make sure that you're paying attention to what it's actually storing in the cloud and on your machine at the same time, because it will eat your computer hard drive if you're not telling it to free up space and saying, no, don't keep this here locally, put it up there and just let me access it.
Problem. You have two computers, and one is a big hard drive and one is a small one, and you're using a cloud storage and saying keep everything on both. When you start building up the big hard drive, you're going to start building up the small hard drive at the same time. If you don't pay attention, she did that by connecting one cloud, OneDrive driver on the Mac. Started downloading everything, and got a full desktop worth of stuff duplicated onto the hard drive to build up. So, yeah, fun technology, the future.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So if you come up with a question, just email me. I know how to get it to you. And if you need help, just hit us up.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gave you guys information that you didn't have, or kind of cleared up some things that we had questions on. Like I said, next month, Greg's going to do virtual reality. I'll send out some stuff about the August meeting. We do need to start thinking about people taking positions. October is going to come fast. We're already 6 months into the year. And we have officer positions that are going to need to be filled. So think about taking charge and being charged and making it better and bigger. Whatever. Okay.
That was very good.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay.
In which case, I think the meeting is over unless anyone has something to bring before the club.
I do not.
Anybody?
Meeting adjourned.
Fly in.
The German fly-in? Oh, Stearman fly-in, yes, Stearman fly-in is this weekend.
Judge,
Yes,
Steve was the right.
you're welcome.